What are the three components of the CIA triad in cybersecurity?
Confidentiality, ensuring data is accessible only to authorized parties; integrity, ensuring data is accurate and unaltered; and availability, ensuring systems and data are accessible when needed. Together they form the foundation of information security.
How does a breach of integrity in the CIA triad differ from a breach of confidentiality?
A confidentiality breach means unauthorized parties access the data, e.g., a data leak. An integrity breach means the data was altered or tampered with without authorization, even if it wasn't exposed, for example, an attacker modifying financial records.
Why is availability considered equally important as confidentiality and integrity?
Even if data remains confidential and unaltered, a system is useless if legitimate users cannot access it when needed. DDoS attacks, ransomware, and hardware failures all target availability, potentially causing significant financial and operational damage.
What is a phishing attack and what makes spear phishing more dangerous?
Phishing uses fraudulent emails or messages to trick victims into revealing sensitive information or clicking malicious links. Spear phishing targets a specific individual or organization with personalized content, making it far more convincing and harder to detect than generic phishing.
How does SQL injection work and what type of vulnerability does it exploit?
SQL injection works by inserting malicious SQL code into input fields, such as login forms, that are passed directly to a database query without proper sanitization. It exploits improper input validation, allowing attackers to read, modify, or delete database contents.
What is cross-site scripting, XSS, and what is the difference between stored and reflected XSS?
XSS injects malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users. Stored XSS persists on the server, e.g., in a forum post, and affects every visitor, while reflected XSS is embedded in a URL and only executes when a victim clicks the crafted link.
How does a DDoS attack differ from a standard DOS attack?
A DOS attack uses a single source to overwhelm a target with traffic, while a DDoS, distributed denial of service, attack uses many compromised systems, a botnet, simultaneously. DDoS attacks are much harder to mitigate because the traffic comes from thousands of different IP addresses.
What is a man-in-the-middle (MITM) attack and how can HTTPS help prevent it?
In a MITM attack, an attacker secretly intercepts and potentially alters communication between two parties who believe they are communicating directly. HTTPS encrypts traffic using TLS, making it extremely difficult for an attacker to read or modify the data in transit.
What is the difference between authentication and authorization?
Authentication verifies who a user is, proving identity, e.g., via password or biometrics. Authorization determines what an authenticated user is allowed to do, permissions and access levels. Authentication always comes before authorization.
What is multi-factor authentication, MFA, and why is it more secure than passwords alone?
MFA requires two or more verification factors from different categories: something you know, password; something you have, phone/token; or something you are, biometrics. Even if one factor is compromised, an attacker still cannot access the account without the others.
What is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption?
Symmetric encryption uses a single shared key for both encryption and decryption, fast but requires secure key exchange. Asymmetric encryption uses a public/private key pair where the public key encrypts and the private key decrypts, solving the key distribution problem but being computationally slower.
What is hashing and why is it not considered encryption?
Hashing is a one-way function that converts data into a fixed-length digest that cannot be reversed to recover the original data. Unlike encryption, hashing has no decryption key. It is used to verify data integrity and securely store passwords, not to protect data for later retrieval.
Why should passwords be stored as salted hashes rather than plain hashes?
A salt is a unique random value added to each password before hashing, ensuring that identical passwords produce different hashes. Without salting, attackers can use pre-computed rainbow tables to quickly crack hashed passwords in bulk.
What is the role of TLS/SSL in network security?
TLS, Transport Layer Security, successor to SSL, encrypts data transmitted between a client and server, ensuring confidentiality and integrity of the communication. It also authenticates the server using digital certificates, preventing impersonation attacks.
What is a firewall and what is the difference between stateful and stateless firewalls?
A firewall monitors and controls network traffic based on predefined security rules. A stateless firewall inspects each packet independently against its rules, while a stateful firewall tracks active connections and makes decisions based on the full context of the traffic session.
How does a VPN protect a user's data and privacy?
A VPN, virtual private network, creates an encrypted tunnel between the user's device and a VPN server, protecting data from interception on untrusted networks. It also masks the user's IP address, providing anonymity and bypassing geographic restrictions.
What is the difference between an IDS and an IPS?
An IDS, intrusion detection system, monitors network traffic and alerts administrators about suspicious activity but does not block it. An IPS, intrusion prevention system, actively blocks detected threats in real time, sitting in line with traffic to intercept malicious packets.
What is the NIST cybersecurity framework and what are its 5 core functions?
The NIST CSF is a voluntary framework providing guidelines for managing cybersecurity risk. Its 5 core functions are identify, understand risk, protect, implement safeguards, detect, discover events, respond, take action, and recover, restore capabilities.
What does ISO 27001 certification indicate about an organization?
ISO 27001 certification means the organization has implemented a systematic information security management system, ISMS, that meets international standards for managing sensitive information. It requires regular risk assessments, security controls, and continuous improvement processes.
What are the typical phases of an incident response plan?
The standard phases are preparation, establishing plans and teams, identification, detecting the incident, containment, limiting damage, eradication, removing the threat, recovery, restoring systems, and lessons learned, post-incident review to improve future response.
Why is the containment phase critical during incident response?
Containment prevents the incident from spreading to other systems and limits further damage while the team investigates. Without rapid containment, an attacker could escalate privileges, exfiltrate more data, or compromise additional assets, significantly increasing the impact.
What makes a strong password and why is length more important than complexity?
A strong password is long, unique, and unpredictable. Length matters most because each additional character exponentially increases the number of possible combinations an attacker must try, making brute force attacks impractical even without special characters.
Why should users avoid reusing passwords across multiple sites?
If one site is breached, attackers use credential stuffing to automatically try the stolen username password combination on thousands of other sites. A single reused password can compromise email, banking, and other critical accounts simultaneously.
What is a password manager and why is it recommended for security?
A password manager securely stores and generates unique, complex passwords for every account, encrypted behind one master password. It eliminates password reuse, removes the need to memorize passwords, and makes it easy to use strong credentials everywhere.
What is the principle of least privilege and why is it a security best practice?
The principle of least privilege grants users and systems only the minimum access permissions needed to perform their tasks. This limits the potential damage from compromised accounts, insider threats, and malware by reducing the attack surface.
What is social engineering and why is it often the most effective attack vector?
Social engineering manipulates people into divulging information or performing actions that compromise security, exploiting trust, fear, or urgency. It is highly effective because it targets human psychology rather than technical defenses, bypassing firewalls and encryption entirely.
What is ransomware and what is the recommended response when infected?
Ransomware encrypts a victim's files and demands payment for the decryption key. Security experts recommend not paying the ransom, as payment doesn't guarantee recovery and funds criminal operations. Instead, isolate affected systems, restore from backups, and report the incident to authorities.
What is a zero-day vulnerability and why is it particularly dangerous?
A zero-day vulnerability is a software flaw unknown to the vendor, meaning no patch exists when it is discovered or exploited. It is especially dangerous because defenders have 0 days to prepare, and traditional signature-based security tools cannot detect attacks exploiting it.
What is the purpose of penetration testing and how does it differ from vulnerability scanning?
Penetration testing involves authorized simulated attacks to actively exploit vulnerabilities and assess real-world impact. Vulnerability scanning is automated and only identifies known weaknesses without exploiting them. Pen testing reveals how vulnerabilities can be chained and the actual risk they pose.
What is defense in depth and why do organizations use this strategy?
Defense in depth is a layered security approach where multiple independent controls, firewalls, encryption, access controls, monitoring, training, protect assets. If one layer fails, others still provide protection, ensuring no single point of failure can compromise the entire system.
What is cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity is the protection of systems, networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access, attack, or disruption.
What is the CIA triad?
The CIA triad stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability, 3 core goals of information security.
What is phishing?
Phishing is a social engineering attack that tricks people into revealing credentials or taking unsafe actions.
Why do strong passwords matter?
Strong unique passwords reduce the chance that attackers can guess or reuse stolen credentials across services.
What is multi-factor authentication?
Multi-factor authentication requires more than one proof of identity, making account compromise much harder.
What is malware?
Malware is malicious software designed to damage systems, steal data, spy on activity, or disrupt operations.
What is ransomware?
Ransomware is malware that encrypts data or systems and demands payment to restore access.
Why are software updates important for security?
Updates often patch known vulnerabilities that attackers actively exploit when systems stay unpatched.
What is social engineering?
Social engineering is manipulating people into bypassing safeguards or revealing sensitive information.
What is least privilege in cybersecurity?
Least privilege means giving people and systems only the minimum access needed to perform their tasks.
What is a security incident?
A security incident is an event that threatens confidentiality, integrity, or availability and requires investigation or response.
What is a basic cybersecurity habit?
Pause before trusting links, attachments, requests for credentials, or unusual urgency.